Three, two, one. Oh man, what's going on? Oh no, it's not working. Hold on.
Televisa presenta.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to La Cantina MX Football Podcast. New year, new soundtrack. After Chivas basically finessed everybody, we thought that they were going to come out on top this season, but it was just one game, guys. On the other side, though, Pumas are the real deal Holyfields. We're going to talk about a lot of Liga MX action that happened. And of course, since we are in the January transfer window, there are some still movements going on for Mexicans abroad. And we're going to talk about that as well. Before I go any further, though, Joel, let's welcome him.
Greetings, Jaime. Glad to be back. Match week 2. I think you're being a bit harsh on the goats.
Oh boy, the goats. You know, we should have known, right? We should have known.
Well, some misfortune there on who was it, Godinho.
Yes.
So the back pass, they do a back pass, and then Godinho, he fails to trap it, and it goes into the porteria, but it did bounce, so it hit something on the pitch. I'm not sure if there was like a hole or what, but as it's rolling at him, all of a sudden it does a bunny hop, and it was quick movement that he caught him off guard, and that very unfortunate, and for that to happen.
Yeah, for those who didn't watch the game, Pachuca hosted Chivas and Hidalgo, and it was a back pass from Tiva Sepulveda to Godinho, and I don't, there was a lot that happened in that, but yeah, the ball took a weird bounce on a little patch of the pitch. It bounced, and Godinho didn't. I don't know. I guess maybe he wasn't tracking it well, or whatever the case may be. It was just an embarrassing way to concede an own goal. And Chivas tried to come back in the second half. Got a penalty from Angel Saldivar, but in the end, they lost 2-1. And of course, the way Chivas fans are, we're emotionally high strung, and we build them one week and we destroy them the next week. That's just how it is to be a Chivas fan. I think like the fans are just very, very what's the word? Flighty.
Fickle.
Yeah.
Yeah, very unfortunate. So one win, one loss. It's always going to be a tough match, on the road. And then Pachuca, who seem to have Chivas number, so sucks to go down, like that on an own goal.
Yeah, last week we were telling everybody that Michel Leaño was Pep Guardiola in disguise. And now I was on Twitter and I was looking at all these memes of like Michel Leaño like barbecuing or wearing like a Argentina jersey, and it's just like damn, man, these people had these in the like, they had a folder just waiting for bad things to happen. They just had all this blackmail ready to go. And I don't know, this is not a very sustainable way of doing it, week by week, season by season. Like, look, man, like, I think Chivas fans just need to to simmer down a little bit and just expect disappointment, and that way you're never disappointed. I think this is just the pessimistic mentality that we must have because let's be honest, what has changed since last season? Not much. We might have acquired a player, but we lost two, and we still kind of have like the same coach. So, do you really expect things to just happen overnight? I don't think so.
Mm, true.
And on the other side, let's talk about Pumas because that first week they were in first place thanks to the goal differential, and things has not changed. They're still on top with 6 points. Let me tell you about this game against Querétaro to start off with match week 2. Within 4 minutes, Querétaro was up, and I just started saying, "Oh, here we go." You know, it was just 1 week that they were going to be good, but shockingly, Pumas tied up the game and ended up winning the match despite being a man down. They ended up winning 3-1. They showed resilience, and I'm very proud of them to come back and win that match. It was not easy. It was on the road, and because of that, they maintained their lead with 6 points. Joel, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm right here. I'm listening. I'm listening, Jaime. Nothing much to add here to Pumas. Uh, it seems no goals from Rubalcaba, who was last week, the first match week, the sensation of the week. But he's there, and people are still hopeful that he might be the one of the promesas for the Mexican national team.
Yeah, it was a quiet week for him, but we'll see what happens as this season continues to run its course. Let's talk about Rayados, the other game on Friday. Jesus, man. Necaxa not even trying. They lost 4-0. Funes Mori started the party early, 4 minutes in, and they just steamrolled Necaxa, man. It was not even close. And people forget, Rayados have Aguirre, they have Gallardo, they have Luis Romo, Funes Mori. I mean, this team is stacked.
Yes, and they started with a draw, if I'm not mistaken, at
Yep.
home.
Against
So they
Querétaro.
made up they made up for it with this win over Necaxa, who you know they are the first Liga MX team with an NFT.
Oh man. I mean, I understand the American acquisition, like 50% of the team's owned by like a bunch of random celebrities, including, Mesut Ozil and Eva Longoria, and yeah, there's just like a weird list of people that are backing Necaxa. Now they're doing this NFT thing, but I feel like they need to focus on what's important, and that is getting results inside the pitch, not off.
Well, if it's long term, sometimes it's like, all right, this is gonna be a long term project, and we're gonna start, you know, fixing the team little by little. Then you sh- we shouldn't be too just judging on the results. I mean, that's the end goal, to have a team that is successful. But if you're gonna, start with the building blocks, then we can't just go off of those results. We gotta see what areas they're improving. So we don't really follow Necaxa closely to know, like, are they investing on their youth program? Are they, you know, brought in coaches? There's all these things that they could be doing that we probably don't know about. Time will tell, mi Jaime. Only time will tell what
Well,
if this pans out for them. This ownership group.
I don't know, man. We'll see. I'm sure they're not happy seeing 0 points in 2 games. And let's not forget, last season
But
they
there's
weren't
no relegation, so I mean,
for now.
what's there to worry about?
That's true. We still
Well,
don't
I mean, that's
know
why.
how much longer they're gonna do that, but I guess for now
But
they're
see,
safe.
and I'm gonna say that's why, like, if you want to start a project with youth, or you want to start something that's kind of be long term, I would take advantage of that and then just do it, and then not care if how the team's doing on the table, because you know you just have that freedom right now of like of having those bad results, and then you're able to you know put forth something in the institution. Chivas, for example, they should promote as many youth as they can. Just throw them in there. Let's see which ones pan out.
Yeah, they should, and we'll see. I mean, they're always the ones leading in debuting players and giving players under 23 minutes. So they're that. I don't think that'll ever change for Chivas. Some other results this weekend: the champions Atlas. If you guys forgot, they didn't play the first game of the season because of COVID. They had a lot of infected players. So this was technically their first game of the season in front of their fans. And they won. But there was a lot of criticism because they were the champions and the turnout was not so great. They didn't even have a packed stadium. And yeah, I just saw that it was looked pretty empty. And it's pretty sad for the current champions of Mexico, especially considering
Surprising
that this is
too.
their first title in, feels like forever.
Like
So
7, like 7 years. It is surprising, especially because Atlas had proven to be one of those have a very loyal fan base. So I have to imagine that they increase the ticket price.
what I'm
You know,
thinking is that they were a little bit more strict with who's allowed in the stadium, and it could be that they were asking for like proof of vaccine or something. I think that was one of the issues that they were dealing with on.
ah,
Yeah.
okay, I see what's going on there. These atlistas, a lot of them, they look like hooligans, so probably they're unvaxxed.
Maybe they just had like that post nut clarity. They were holding it in for so long. They finally get the championship, and they're like, "All right, cool. Yeah, don't call me, I'll call you," kind of thing. San Luis doesn't really bring a large crowd, so I don't blame them for not being, at capacity. But still, just something to keep eye of. I'm very curious to see what their attendance looks like this season. Speaking of attendance, Tigres, which, if I'm not mistaken, has the best attendance in Mexico, lost to Puebla 2-0. Carlos Salcedo with the own goal off his own ball sack. I got to applaud this guy.
And that's how he leaves, right? Because I think he's going to Toronto.
Carlos Salcedo?
So, yeah.
I thought he's going back to Europe, man.
Didn't he go to Toronto?
No. That's Insigne.
No, they got they signed another dude.
From my understanding, oh wow, it's official. I didn't know that.
You're making me doubt it, Jaime.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow. So that was his last game.
With the Tigers, and he leaves with an own goal. Cabecita.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So there it is.
Well, that's disappointing
And
to
then
hear.
an own goal, and then And then Gignac missing a penalty kick.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I see Tigres bouncing back. Disappointing result, but I think they have. It's one of those bad games where all these things line up. Own goal, missing penalty kick, whatnot. But I see them bouncing back from this. I don't think they're gonna be. They're gonna be. They're gonna be suffering throughout the season.
Um, One thing I forgot if we mentioned it last podcast, but they just announced that they're going to be building a new stadium.
They've been, yeah, they've been. It's been on the works. That and they have that long running rivalry with Rayados, and you saw them. They did their stadium first. They beat them to the punch, and I think this will be their stadium because the stadium they use, I believe, it's from the university.
University. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because
that's
they're
weird though, because they're going to be building it, if I'm not mistaken, in the same spot. So they're going to tear
okay.
down the.
They can okay. So yeah, we should look into it and see what's going on there. Are they still tied? Is it still going to be tied to the university and whatnot? If it's, I'm guessing it is. If it's in the same venue, so a new volcano, huh?
It says Tigres' new stadium will be located on the property of Nuevo León Autonomous University. That means that it will not be far away from where the traditional 55-year-old and 42,000 capacity stadium currently is.
Oh, so they're building it. Okay, not they're not tearing it down then.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's on the outer limits. So, yeah, I guess it's not going to be too far. One thing to note is that it's going to have a capacity of 65,000 and that it has a retractable court. So they're anticipating hosting NFL games, I'm sure concerts and stadium, concerts and all that. And
Oof.
this will be done just in time for the 2026 World Cup. So I don't see like one city having two venues. Has that been done before? Like for a World Cup, like usually they like to spread it out, like you have one stadium in like each state or something. I know from like the proposal, El Omni Life from Chivas or El Estadio Grow now, that one for sure is a shoe in. El Azteca's a shoe in, and then Rayado Stadium was a shoe in. But I don't know if there was another venue. Um, so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, well, FIFA loves them new stadiums, so if they have it there and it's available, I don't see why not.
But yeah, one thing to note is Tigres have the best attendance in Liga MX, and they're also, from my understanding, not the cheapest either. Like they have some of the highest ticket prices.
Yeah, well, Monterrey, that city is been known for a long time for having being well off, and the joke was always because they're stingy, son codos, and
Oh,
that was always the joke, the long running joke in Monterrey. They don't, they're penny pinchers.
well, I'm a big fan of new stadiums, especially in Mexico. So that's good news. And I do agree this is just a temporary setback for Tigres as far as losing at home to Puebla. It's kind of a shocker there, but they have enough squad to turn things around. This is a very, even though it's a short season, it's still kind of a long season. Like you can just get hot at the right time and coast into repechaje. So
You just gotta finish 12.
yeah, exactly. And right now they have 1 point, currently in 14th position. But guess what? So are the positions 10 through 8. Well, America has 1 point. Leon has 1 point. Santos have 1 point. So there's a lot of teams with just 1 point right now. But yeah, Cruz
What was the
Azul,
next? Cruz Azul, yes.
Charlie Rodriguez. Oh boy, just continuing his amazing start. His debut with Cruz Azul last week. He scored on his debut and he scored again 5 minutes in. And Cruz Azul ended up winning 1-0 against Juarez. And yeah, I feel like maybe they got the better end of the deal. Luis Romo at Rayados has been it's been okay.
Do you know who gave the assist for that win, Jaime?
I'm not sure.
No, I think you know the guy.
Oh, was it Antuna?
Yes.
Oh.
He got a lot of flack the first match week, but he's back. He's a good player, man. Sometimes fans just,
Well, he got the start again, so he has some shoes to fill with losing Piojo. Tijuana and León tied 1-1. And Toluca bounced back and beat Santos 3-1. And it's a better second week for Nacho Ambriz.
it is. And were they on the road?
They were at home.
They were at home. Well, I mean, still Santos is still it's they're a tough team. So and we talked about it last week about how it sucked to have lost the way they did and then to have to go up against Santos. Uh, but so I do consider it a very good win. You know, uh, it's sometimes not that easy to get up from a defeat like that.
Yeah, 5-0.
So they, not only that, they put 3 goals, which it's now they're not at -5, they're at like -2, no -3, right? Because the other team scored one, so they're at -3, but still an improvement there. I mean, I
Yeah.
have faith in Nacho. I think I want to see what he does with the Diablos, and I'm hopeful for Mr. Nacho. He left one of the best teams, one of the best coaches in the league. So again, we shouldn't be surprised if he has Diablos as contenders by the end of the season. They've certainly shown that they're able to compete. They just lack consistency, and hopefully they could get this with Ambris.
Yeah, we'll see. I really don't see what Cristante was doing so bad, but I guess they just weren't happy with him. But
Yeah, sometimes you lose the locker room. Sometimes
mhm,
players will lose faith in you, or sometimes stuff just doesn't go wrong, go right.
yeah,
You could, because yeah, Cristante started really good. He had them cruising at the top of the table, and then they hit that slump,
yeah.
and they weren't able to get back up, and that was unfortunate.
What's also unfortunate is America didn't play this weekend. They'll have to make up that match later on in the year. But there is some transfers that have been made official. The first one's going to kind of sting a little bit, and it's Sendejas has joined America, former Chivas player. He was on loan at Necaxa, and Chivas allowed him to stay there free of charge. And yeah, he's joining America, and we'll see how it goes for him.
The rumor is that Chivas did some deal with Necaxa so that Necaxa could get the player on a free transfer, but then they were going to get a percentage of the
50%.
of the sale. So I don't know what's going on there. You know, if 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 true, then good for Chivas. If not true, then man, that's just unfortunate because Chivas been struggling not just to buy but to sell players.
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on, man. I mean, we've had some really good players. We just let them leave. Alan Cervantes and Alejandro Sendejas, and I don't know, man. I just don't get it. These players would be nice to have on our squad right now, but they were always just like loaned out for some reason, and I never understood that. They just never got
Well,
the.
say part of it is because you have to maintain what is the word I'm looking for? How much money they have for wages, salary cap. There you go. So they probably have X amount that they could spend on players,
I doubt
on
he's
on
making
paying their
any.
wages, huh?
So I doubt he's
But
like burning a
I
hole in
know,
their
but
pocket.
well, not maybe not one, but then when you lump in together three or four or five players, and then that
Yeah,
at
but
that
you just
point it
freed up
starts
like
adding up.
you freed up like a million and some change from not having Peralta. So it's like I just don't get it, man. Chivas really makes like some of the worst deals ever. Like, and then we try to buy him back later, and it's just like, oh god, this is terrible. But good for Alejandro Sendejas. He part of him even uh making his career in Liga MX, he had to give up playing for the United States because he did come from the Dallas Academy and he went to Chivas and agreed not to take any more call ups from the United States. And, I think that he could have probably played for the United States at one point on the senior side. And I don't expect him to play for the national team. I know he did play a friendly match against Ecuador, but uh, his chances of going to a
Well,
World Cup are a lot slimmer in
well,
Mexico.
he is at America now, so good performances there will open that door.
Yeah. Another player that America bought, Jorge Mere. Not really sure who he is, but he comes from Spain. Sporting Gijon. And then he went to FC Köln. I got a feeling that this is all Solari.
Definitely, man. Probably one of his boys that's an agent over there. You know, they all get a cut. They all get a piece of that pie.
Yeah, because he did spend time in Spain. And I don't know. It's kind of just feels like, oh, prefers a Spanish center back over the current crop of players out of America. I'm not sure, but everybody's drooling at the mouth over there. You know, America always finds a way to get, like, I guess, like big signings and stuff.
They haven't really though for a while where it's like, they haven't really had that you could say like a top signing. Like
Mm.
they brought Gio,
Don Javier Aguirre, mi cuate, buenas
and that
noches.
wasn't really
¿Cómo estás, mi amigo?
like he
Bien,
was coming in through
bien,
the
bien,
back
bien
door.
diremos. Que, ¿cómo está México?
Jodido.
Talking about the
So,
back door, Marco
see, now that
Fabian has a team. Looks like
someone,
Mazatlan are gambling on him, and they announced him.
yeah, he had been at Juarez, and he was just, you know, didn't make much noise. And now he's at Mazatlan, and it's kind of sad because he went from being one like a selección player, one of the most sought after players, and then he hasn't really done much since, like, when was it, since like 2019. So he was at the Union, 23 games, 7 goals. Then he went to Al Sadd. He only played 3 games, scored 1 goal. Then he came to Juarez, 24 games, 0 goals. And now he's at Mazatlan. So
Oh,
he's
and
32.
they hyped him up, dog. Mazatlan being Mazatlan, as far as their Twitter account, he put campeón en México, campeón en Alemania, campeón de CONCACAF, oro olímpico. Like, they're just hyping this dude up.
Where you gotta sell shirts, man.
And I'm like, dude, this is not the same guy that
you,
got
you
all
do,
that.
but you do have to remind people who he is.
Yeah,
People forget sometimes.
I think good for him. He's employed now, and we'll see. I mean, Mazatlan could definitely use him. I feel like they kind of have a chip on their shoulder because they're the new team, and a lot of haters because they took over Morelia's Twitter account without saying anything, and they've kind of just
Well,
they've kind of like they've adopted this like bad boy like reputation already. But go ahead.
Well, it goes a bit more than just taking over the Morelia Twitter account. They bought their way into Primera División by buying Morelia and then just relocating the team and renaming it.
Yeah.
Well, there was the franchise, you could say that.
Mm-hmm.
They bought the franchise, so the rights to be in first division. And in soccer, that's looked down upon. People don't care in other sports, but in soccer, there's always been that whole kind of win your way into the first division, play your way into the top flight. And so it always seems like a cheap way to get there.
Which is interesting because in American sports, this happens all the time. The Seattle, what is it called? Supersonics and the, Oklahoma and all these teams get relocated and bought. And, this happens a lot in American sports, but in the world of football, this never happens. Like, that's your team until, they go broke. And that's basically it. But yeah, this whole like restructuring or transferring of franchises happens quite frequently in Mexico.
Yeah, and especially because they sort of wanted to emulate, the American sports. Big reason they have the whole draft, el mercado de piernas, and it's patterned after the American sports. I mean, even if you remember the old logo, the old FMF logo,
Uh-huh.
it looks like the NBA.
Yeah, it does.
It's very similar, and that's always been, it's kind of on purpose where they're trying to, they always. I think it's not a bad sometimes to get ideas or get inspired, but I feel that sometimes like they don't need to in Mex. Like they have plenty of good stuff already, and I feel that that's like a downfall where they'll overlook what they have to try to emulate something from abroad.
Speaking of abroad, brings me to our next segment. I got a lot to talk about, starting with Chuckie Losano. Remember, he was out with COVID. He's back in the team, and he just shut up all his haters. He's been getting a lot of criticism over there in Italy. I'm not sure why. Maybe because he's Napoli's most expensive signing. But he scored both goals against Bologna yesterday and was named player of the match, man of the match, I guess. And just a great way to shut everybody up. Not sure why everyone's hating on him, but 2 goals, that he did a good job.
Some of his comments were unfortunate, though. I think he said something that he wanted, something along the lines he was using Napoli as a stepping stone.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, dude, this is Napoli, man. The fans are not, they don't see their team as being, a small team. Even though, yeah, compared to the big teams they are, but the fans they're not gonna take it that way.
Yeah, absolutely not. And for those that don't really understand, I spent a lot of time I spent like a month in Italy. It was one of my favorite countries when I was backpacking. And my favorite part of Italy was actually in Naples. I loved the south because it was not like the north. It wasn't even like Rome. It was very, very like the city had character. It was not clean. There was graffiti and it was more of like
You're like right at home, Jaime.
well, it was just like this is like the part of Italy that people don't want to see. And I remember like Americans, I would run into them in hostels and they would tell me not to go there, and I was like, why? So, oh, because it's dirty and there's like gangs and it's like, I'm like, and I went there and I thought it was amazing because I really felt like I was in, it's like when you go to Mexico and you go to Cancun and then you go to like an actual, like an actual city where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
this is Mexico. And that's how I felt with Italy. Like I went to all the touristy spots where everybody spoke English, and then I went to the south and it's just like, whoa, this is dope. And I did go to a Napoli game and their stadium's like falling apart and it just looks like an old Coliseum, man. And the fans are just so hardcore and they still have banners of Maradona and they still praise him highly. Like they will always hold on to the fact that Maradona played for Napoli, and they have a big chip on their shoulder because all the teams from the north hate the South, because it's division of like the poor and the rich, and the South is not that rich. So, Chuckie Losano, I don't know if he knew that going into Naples, but they criticize you heavily, and that's a place where you have to wear the shirt and you have to be proud to be Napoleon. And yeah, it's just one of those things for him to say that, oh, this is a stepping stone, or I look forward to like using this to catapult my career. Oof, that was a big no. And I think from there he was kind of off to the wrong foot with them. And then also obviously with Gattuso as well, he was not even considered for some of the matches. He was on the bench. He had a lot of growing pains with Gattuso, and he was able to turn things around with him. Now he's not even the coach anymore, but Napoli are in a good spot. They're in third position, 46 points, and right behind Milan with 48, and Inter on top with 50. So this Serie A is up for grabs. Juventus is on a downward slope.
Well, you know the saying, Jaime. Goles son amores. As long as he keeps scoring,
Yeah.
he'll win over the fan base.
You know who's not going to win over the fan base is Pisuto. Eugenio Pisuto, remember that player that went to Lille and was a champion without ever even debuting for the team? Well, he has parted ways with them. They decided to cancel his contract, so he's now a free agent.
No idea yet where he's going.
It's really unfortunate because he went out from Pachuca and everything looked good, and then he just had a really terrible injury, and just hasn't been able to get his career going. and there is a rumor that he might be going to Celta Vigo over there with Orbelin and Nestor Araujo. There's also a rumor that he might go to Chivas.
Ah, well, Chivas. I just hope he doesn't have that type of injury where it affects their careers, and then they're not, the players aren't able to get back to that level that they showed. We've seen it with like oh man, what's this guy's name? Pina Arellano, such a great talent. He was having such a good career. His games in Libertadores were fun to watch. He's scoring some amazing goals, and then he got injured, and he never fully recovered, and he kept playing, but he was never at that level that he showed that it was just very promising. And so I hope it's not he doesn't have one of those type of injuries, because for the club to let him go, they must make an assessment and said, you know what,
Yeah, it's too much
too much.
of a risk.
Yeah, too much of a risk. Doesn't seem like he's gonna pan out. Let's just cut our losses now.
He broke his fibula. I mean, that's the big bone, you know?
Damn.
Uh, and dislocated his ankle after getting his foot caught on the pitch. So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things, man, where such an unfortunate thing that happened. If I'm not mistaken, he had a really good like under 17 World Cup, and that's kind of how he got catapulted. He is from Italian descent. His father's from Italy. So he already has a European passport, so he has, a chance of staying out there. I think
or going back, or going back. I mean, I feel that
yeah.
for some of the players that return, there's nothing wrong with returning. It just becomes more difficult. But if he already has that EU passport,
Mm-hmm.
I think because what you want is playing time.
Yeah.
Like, it's no good staying in Europe if you're not gonna
This dude's barely
if you're not gonna
debuted.
play.
So it's like he debuted
Yeah, so I mean,
for Pachuca and got injured 8 minutes in. So it's like this guy hasn't even had his career like started yet, his professional career.
wait, we're talking Pisuto?
Yeah.
What you said, Pachuca?
Yeah, he was from Pachuca's academy, and on his debut, he got injured.
Wait, on his debut with who?
Pachuca. And then he went
Wait,
to Lille.
even though he had been injured?
Yeah.
And, and then did he get injured there again?
It says that he made his
I thought he
debut.
got injured over there.
No, he got injured in like after his debut.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. I mean, had they already bought him? And it's just kind of confusing.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Unless Pachuca did, because Pachuca, they've been known to do these type of deals where they're
Mm-hmm.
like, we'll send you there, but for the contract, we'll put a stipulation where it's like, if you get sold, we get X amount.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, I was hearing the story. I thought he got injured in France. I mean, if he left, could be that he just hasn't, you know. I would, if I'm him, I would return to Max, a team, get as much playing time, and I'm sure he could go back if he wants to.
We'll see what
It's just
happens.
your contract. You can't get greedy and then blame the clubs. You
Yeah.
can't sign a massive contract and then expect the club to sell you for cheap when some team comes calling. So you have to do that sacrifice and say, no, I want to go back, so I'm not gonna take the cash now. I'm gonna wait. But a lot of players don't do that. They see the big check, and then they'll be like, all right, where do I sign?
Some more window January window rumors and speculations. Well, this is really about Diego Lainez and JJ Mack. JJ Mack might be. I don't know how this. I don't know how this how this works, but Getafe might loan him out to another team, and I don't know how you can do that. It's like you go to Hertz and you rent a car, and then and then you let somebody else rent it. Like, how does that even work, bro? But
Yeah, that's interesting.
it's like you don't really have the. I don't think you should be allowed to do that, man. It's like it's not your car, bro. Might as well just send him back to Chivas.
Well, I mean,
But
dude really wants to stay over there.
there's a
He's very determined.
there's a rumor that he might go to the French league. So we'll see.
Yeah, let's see, man. If Chivas could use him. I
I,
think he wants to come back, but
yeah. Another thing too. So Real Betis played today, and I watched the game. They were up like, man, 3-0 before the first half ended. And I don't know if you remember that incident between Matt Miyazaga and Diego Lainez
yes, I do.
where he
Yes, I do, sir.
yeah, he
He
did
he was making fun of his height,
yeah.
and then who was it that went to square up with him? It was one of the taller players because Masiaga's about 6'5", and this guy pretty much matched him.
Let me
But
see.
I remember another player went up.
And that's the one thing that I've seen.
I got the clip.
And I love this.
That's an unequal contest, isn't it?
It was Saldivar. He went in to defend his honor.
What's that, man? He must have been at least 6'2". But I remember guy going up saying what's up. Yeah, yeah, Masiaga.
So, man, you couldn't script this any better. But Miyazaga now is at Alves, and oh man, the blunder that he did today. He had the ball, and without even looking back, he just kicked it back to what he thought was the goalie. But he gave it to the number 9 of Betis. He just gave him the ball and he scored. It was like the stupidest, it was one of the most embarrassing
They gave him
things.
a pass. I wonder if it counts as an assist.
That was definitely an assist, man. And unfortunately, Diego Lainez was on the bench up until, man, the 83rd minute. They finally decide. Keep in mind, they were up 3-0 before 41 minutes in, you're up 3-0. And even then, Linus can't even get scrap minutes, dog. And they were saying on the broadcast, it's time for him to leave because
it is, yeah.
This is embarrassing.
Yeah, you had the vice president went to Mexico to talk to his family and to negotiate the deal, and so they were talking about that they saw him as one of their key players. But doesn't seem like the coaches they've had have been too willing to give him enough time. And I think, did he just get an EU passport? He's about to get it.
I'm pretty sure he's got it.
I remember reading about that. So if he didn't get it recently, he's about to get it
Because he's been there since 2019. So we're coming up on 3 years. So he should be eligible.
I think in Spain, if you're from a Latin American country, you get it within X amount of years. And then if you can prove ancestry, like a grandparent, great grandparent, whatnot, even faster.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it was with him, but having it should open some doors for him. I know there'll be some clubs willing to take him. He is a talented guy, but I agree, man. If you're not getting that playing time, you know, you need to be in a club where you are, because that's always like better overall as a player to get as much playing time as you can, as opposed to, oh, I'm in this really good club, but then you rarely play. I would take the player getting more PT over the guy that's just on the bench. You could say, oh well, he's learning from this coach, or he's under these guys, but how, really, how much is that gonna be of an influence? Didn't Who was it? Gudinho, wasn't he under Buffon? Who
Good.
who was it? One of the Chiva guys
Casillas.
had. Cause there you go, and I mean, dude, not like he came back with improved FIFA ratings. If you're not playing, doesn't matter, dude. You could be carrying that guy's bags or
Yeah.
being a Uber Eats. It's not gonna really help you. You have to get you have to get those minutes. That's why I see like all these fans always celebrating Flores scoring all these goals in the youth, the under 23 at Arsenal, and it's like
He just scored 2
still,
today.
yeah, but it's the youth. It's like I feel he has the talent to be playing at a you know higher level than
Jodido
a
porque
youth tournament.
Yeah. And hindsight, man. Hindsight for Macias and Linus, and I can't think of more players that, because we romanticize the idea of Europe because it's where the best players play, and we're on this like arms race. I feel like we're in an arms race with um United States, because every week they're exporting somebody to Europe. But it's like, dude, it's not even like, stop worrying about what they're up to, man. Like, they've always had players in Europe, and look at their product, and it's just like, I hate that right now the mentality with, I guess, like the younger generation or this like new generation where everything's on social media and Reddit. These guys, like, they start foaming at the mouth, or not foaming, but drooling about any player that's linked to Europe or is in Europe, and it's just like, what good has that been? Look at Diego Lainez's career, man. He was just getting his career started at America. He was doing
Yeah,
really well, and then he goes to Betis and he gets a little bit better physically as far as like getting yoked and all that, and
and
it's
and
just
wait,
like,
and just let's wait. I just want to stop
yeah,
right there, because that's been one of the talking points, that players get bigger, and it's true, but it's not that you can't get bigger in Liga MX, because we have had players that are physically strong. I do think it's up to that player at that point, if they're gonna prioritize that aspect, you know.
yeah,
So I just want to see just wanted to say that really quick,
yeah,
because it's always been I feel like take too many hits on the league, and it's like, not sometimes for things that it's not really like the league's fault, but I mean, go on, Jaime.
well, I'm just looking like, had he stayed at this trajectory at America, he probably would have had
Yeah,
over 100 games under his belt by now as a
yes, and
professional.
and played some championship
Yeah,
games,
and
and and probably win. They would have won. He
yeah,
has that type of talent. I wouldn't be surprised if they would have won some of those tournaments with him.
mm-hmm. And it's just like, I wish we could like compare the two. Like, all right, here's a player. He has a choice of going to like Europe or staying in Mexico, and let's see how they go. You know what I mean? I wish there was like a way we could like see this through. But I can already assure you that he would have had he would have been way more developed if he would have stayed in Mexico, or if he had gone to Ajax. I feel like Mexicans and the Dutch league, they just go together like peanut butter and jelly, because it's a very good league to leapfrog from. And I mean,
Yeah, well,
even,
youth, because
yeah,
they're not afraid to play the youth, and they
and
they like that. They're farmers league for the most part,
yeah,
without due respect,
but
where they'll
most importantly, it's a a very offensive league. It's all about attack, attack, attack. And I mean, that's like a dream for a player like Linus. And that's actually why I was watching Ronaldo, like the Brazilian Ronaldo, and they all said like that was the best move from him to go from Brazil to Holland, despite the language barrier and the food and the weather. Like the fact that the league itself was offense oriented, and he just took that and he scored like 30 goals in his first season. And I'm like, man, I feel like Linus, he should have got, like, if you're gonna go to Europe at a very young age, like go to Ajax, man. That was the move.
But I also feel is the coach. If you're with the type of coach that's gonna utilize you, and I always use the example of Chicharo, right? He went straight to Man U.
Yeah.
That's because Alex Ferguson already had in mind how he was gonna use him and get the best out of him, and he scored over 20 goals his first season. And so I feel the same with this kid. He just never hasn't had a coach that I feel trusts him or that employs a tactic where he could get the best out of Linus because we've seen it with other players. I don't know if you remember with Van Gaal, was it when he goes to Barcelona and they had Riquelme and he just didn't like him, and they sent him to Villarreal, and that team with Riquelme, man, they became a really good team. And so yeah, I do think a lot of times the coach has a big, and I think that's more too when you talk about the Dutch league, how they're very offensive, and so yeah, I say I would agree with that and say that's why a lot of these players end up doing good there.
Yeah. And well, they paid 14 million for him, and he's only worth about 5 right now, according to Transfer Market. So, I mean, everybody kind of lost out on that one, I think. But I mean, another thing too, like if you're Betis, bro, you spend this much on a player, you don't play him. Like, what's wrong with you, man? Like, I don't know. There's just a lot of things. I'm just like, really, like, what happened here?
They need Gattuso, man, to
Yeah.
to well, I don't think it's Linus, man. I don't think it's him. Um, and they even have Guardado right there, sort of like mentoring him.
Mm-hmm.
So I do
Which,
think
by the
it's
way, sorry to disrupt you, but Guardado played the entire game.
it's like 40.
So
Yeah, man.
it's like
Ooh.
he's still got it, man. He's still got it out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, one other thing, just an observation. I've been watching a lot of documentaries, docu-series lately. They have one of Juventus, they have one of Bayern Munich, and there's like a bunch of ones now, a lot more than there was a long time ago. But I've been watching this Bayern Munich one, and this is the first episode, and this is like recorded during kind of like the pandemic. And I don't know if you know this, but Bayern Munich won 6 titles that year. They won the Bundesliga, they won the Douche Pokal, they won the Champions League, and they won the Club World Cup against Tigres. And there's this clip of them after the game, after clinching their 6th title in a season in the Club World Cup final against Tigres. They're like waiting for the trophy presentation, and it's Sané, and I think it's Mueller, and there's one more player, and they're complaining. They're talking about how terrible they played and how they weren't playing the way they wanted to, and they were just so unsatisfied. They were so unsatisfied. Thomas Mueller couldn't play because he tested positive for the virus, and he was so angry, and he's over there ripping their heads off as they're getting like the trophy and medals and stuff, and and they're just so unsatisfied. And they show that clip to like the president, and the president's just like, look at this beautiful like thing happening right now. Like that just goes to show like how hungry we are, and this is like the mindset that we have here at Bayern Munich. You know, to never like always be hungry and to always think about like how we could be better. And that pressure got to the coach. The coach is like, there's no way I'm ever gonna top 6 titles in a year, and he resigned after that. Like
He's
because they can't handle the pressure. They can't handle that constant like stress of like he's like, I'm only gonna go down from here, and it's just like that mentality, bro. Like we'll never see that in Mexico, bro. We'll never see that shit, bro. It's like that is just another level, and we're not there yet.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't blame the coach, and he's right. And anything below that would be, you know, going. It will be compared, and it's hard to maintain it. Teams rarely stay at that high level. We've seen it with all the top teams, Barcelona and all these teams that had Real Madrid, Milan. They all go through this like 2 to 4 year phase where they're like unstoppable, and then slowly eventually they just
Yeah.
it runs its course. Um, but yeah, you're at that point. You won everything. Just leave at top, man.
Dude, and just to give you a little bit of perspective, right? You have Bayern Munich, again, their 6th title in a year. And then meanwhile in Mexico, we're over here like, whoa, we got 2nd place. Look at us. We should be so proud. We got 2nd place.
I've always blamed this on the because I think once they did Liguilla and the short season, it changed the culture of Mexican football and the fans. And by the culture, I mean the stuff that we value and how we see certain things, like finishing 8th in a lot of places will be seen as like a fracaso. Not so in Mexico, because 8th means you're in Liguilla. So you could finish in 8th and you're not really going to be that harsh on the team. And it's hard to be because it's half a season, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not a full season. So that just adds to it and why it becomes acceptable now. And so I do feel that the whole short season and Liguilla has changed the way we are, just the way we see football and how our expectations are at the same time.
Yeah. But it's just like I think when I think of Europe, it's not for everybody, and I think that's very clear. Like I was looking the All or Nothing Juventus, and Ronaldo, the best player in the world, one of the best players in the world. And this dude was just so unhappy every time Juventus lost. Keep in mind they were still a very good team and competitive, but they crashed out the 3 seasons that he was at Juventus. They crashed out of the Champions League in the quarterfinals every time. And he took that, like, there's a scene of him when they got eliminated by Porto. Like, he's just in the locker room, like, crying, man. And he's just like, he doesn't take defeat lightly. Like, he wants to win every single game. And that was kind of like the reoccurring, like, theme with All or Nothing Juventus and this new thing about Bayern Munich is, like, the mentality from top to bottom, not even just the players, not even the coach, but from, like, the very, very top, like, the president, like, the entire structure, man. It's like they have a winning mentality and they have that sort of standard for themselves and how they conduct themselves on and off the field. And when I think about like teams that end up champions outside of Mexico, like you think about like the top teams in Europe and, like in the Prem League and the Champions League, like the mentality, man, they all have the same goal. They all have the same dream. And they're all in it every single day in training and stuff. And I feel like in Mexico, because we do have a short season and because it's kind of like a lottery, I feel like it's not as consistent. Like the demand is not there. The desire is not there because you can go out and win 17 matches as we've seen. We've seen teams that end in first place and don't even lose a game and then they go into Liguilla and immediately get eliminated, and it's just like, so I feel like the mentality in Mexico is not the same, and I feel like it's a very like we'll try a little bit harder once we get closer to the end of the season, but it's not in every day and it's not it's not there, and unfortunately that translates to the national team where it's like very inconsistent, and I feel like in order to have like a winning team and a winning championship, like if Mexico's trying to win the World Cup, which is like everybody's goal, like damn bro, this process needs to start from like the very very top, and it's like there's no way that we'll ever get close to winning that if like everybody's not on the same page. And in order to do that, they're gonna have to make decisions that might not be financially like feasible. You might have to stop taking so many Molero games and start actually trying to get friendlies outside of your country and get out of your comfort zone. And I just and that's why it's like, dude, this is ridiculous, man. Like I don't see things changing for Mexico anytime soon. Like I really don't.
Yeah, well said, Jaime. Although I don't think the Molero and the friendlies has been that big of a deal or a reason to say, oh, well, Mex, because they don't play these games. I still feel ultimately is developing more players. I think it's the amount of players Mexico develops is very small compared to what it could be. I mean, just look at Uruguay. We always talk about Uruguay, 2 million population. They don't really have stadiums, training facilities. Against all odds, they continue to churn out world class talent, and Mex can't even bring out the players in the same amount that they do. And I feel that the talent is there, and so they should be developing way more players than they currently are. I do think that in that aspect, the U.S. will overtake Mexico in developing players. I'm not saying they're going to be better, but I do feel that they will start developing more and more players. I'm not sure on the stats, but they probably already are. I mean, but I think and then it just who knows, like if they will do it to the point where they're that much better. But that's why you see the concern, and you talked about arms race, and you see where there's concern. Oh, well, they're sending all these guys to Europe. Well, at the same time, because they're producing more as well. I think Mex is, the criticism we've always had. They shoot themselves on the foot with this 11, 11 foreigners or whatever it is. That almost no limit on foreigners, or I think it should just be three or four, but of really of really good quality. Like we go way back like in the 90s, and you see the foreigners, they were in the teams, they were staples of those teams like Alex Aguinaga and Cardoso, and those players were at another level. Now it's like you know they don't really have players of that caliber
Yeah.
until recently with Guignac, you could say, but like on average, not really, like the players that teams bring on average aren't of that level. So yeah, I agree with you. I do think they need to change a lot of things, and I would start with the player development, just because even like second division, that's too many foreigners. Like in the lower divisions, they probably should have like
Yeah.
none, and it's interesting because they did it with the female league.
Really?
Yeah, remember they were just Mexicans the first season or the first two seasons. Like they wouldn't even bring in pochas. They were just no born in U.S. just
Hmm.
just Mexicans. And then now they slowly opened it up, and it was because they wanted to improve the national team. Um, and and that's pretty obvious, and I don't blame them for what they did. I know they cut some flag, mostly from fans from over here with their ideas, but I that's like you know that they understand what's going on. But at the same time, I feel that sort of like they think that with what they have now, it's good enough, which should be obvious that it's not
Mm-hmm.
by now. That it's not, at least not good enough to get where they want to get. You know, they become a team that at least makes it to semifinals.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll end the podcast with this. This is one of the most painful images. Seeing the top goal scorer each decade, and in the 1980s, that was Hugo Sanchez, 315 goals.
Yeah, man, he was a beast.
And I feel like
Telling you,
he
he's
doesn't
more.
even get recognition within his own country, let
No,
alone the
in
rest of the
Spain he
world.
does. Not in Spain he does. He's they 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 geek out over him, but not in Mex. And it surprises me, even as a coach, he still caught a lot of hate. And he had such a brilliant start with Pumas and everything that they won. Then he gets to the selección and they cut his process short. And I feel like we were robbed, man. I would have liked to have seen him coach at a World Cup. It was owed to him because the Cachirules affected him. You know, he had nothing to do with Cachirules, and that's for the 1990 World Cup when Mexico gets banned, suspended because of using overage players. Um, and so he was at a peak in that time. Um, and it sucks that he didn't get it. And as coach, he was just getting so much hate that I feel that it's like the team was showing a lot of good stuff. It continues to be the Mex team that has scored the most goals in a Copa America. It was his team. That Neri goal, man, gets replayed in the highlight reel all the time.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a combination of two things. Number one, just the mentality and really not holding them, holding themselves accountable every single day and saying, yeah, I want to win a championship. Yeah, I want to be a winner. And then the number two, the the handful of players that have kicked the ball that we have, we don't even respect them. We don't like Hugo Sanchez. Chicharito had an incredible career, and everybody likes to shit on him. And it's just like why are we like this, man? It's like I don't understand this mentality, man. Crabs in a bucket, dude.
I think my you know what I think it is? It's a piñata culture we have. And you're a little kid, and it's your birthday, and then your parents buy you a piñata, and it's always like something that is like your favorite, something that you like, is Spider
It's
Man or
Bob
SpongeBob,
Esponja.
and they fill it with candies, and then what you do is you beat the shit out of it, dude. It's just I can never do that. I can never. I like piñatas, but I can never do. No, not Chavo. When I was a kid, it was Chavo del Ocho. Like, what are you doing?
Maybe you're onto
It brings me
something.
joy every Sunday morning. But so I would always want like a star or something like some shape, like the little a pony or whatever it was. But yeah, we we grew up with that. That's that's my take. That's my take. I mean, we got
Yeah,
we got used
maybe
to
you know
tearing down our heroes,
Mexican birthdays
sacrificing
could
them.
be pretty traumatizing because there's that culture of like your birthday cake gets smashed into your face. First of all, you go in for the bite and they just smash your face in, and then you got the piñata that you got to destroy, and then there's usually more alcohol than there is drinks for kids there. So yeah, maybe that's it. I don't know, but
That is the other thing.
well,
You do see a lot of alcohol at birthday kids parties.
we'll let this sort of marinate with our listeners. If you guys have any theories of why Mexicans are the way we are, and have this sort of crabs in a bucket mentality, let us know. Let us know on Twitter. Let us know on IG. I want to thank our listeners for tuning in, week out. Let us know what you think about the new cumbia intro. I just had to do it because that song is just cracks me up. For those that want to know the name of the song, it's San Juanito Parrandero. Google it, you'll recognize it. But Joel, do you have any closing thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, I think we said it with the whole piñata and whatnot. I think that was our closing thoughts.
All right, everybody. Hope everyone has a great week. We'll be back next week with some more takes. And hope everyone has a good one. Peace.